How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. We're going to vent a little bit today. We're going to get some stuff off our chest, throw some ideas out there because right now this team, as they have been, is in disarray. Last night, top of the 10th inning, I'm sitting in bed watching my phone, trying to stay awake. Yankees keeping me up because of the West Coast games. I'm like, maybe we could win this game, right? One out. We got, I think it was maybe Gleyber Torres, somebody, Peraza on third base. I forget who it was. And then back-to-back strikeouts, right? Bader strikes out, Volpe strikes out, and then we kind of go to the 10th inning. I go to sleep. I'm like, this game's over. We're losing this game. Our bullpen's not doing so hot. There's no way we're walking away with this one. And, of course, wake up, and we lost in the bottom of the 10th inning. And, the Yankees right now is a result of some really bad decision-making, a result of some really bad contracts, and just a lack of energy, a lack of synergy. What we're seeing right now is you see good teams elevate prospects. Good teams bring up young guys to provide a spark and, expedite their process to the bigs. But we keep our guys down, and I'm really having a hard time wondering why the hell Franchy Cordero has a spot on the 40-man roster. You know what I mean? Like, why are we waiting on Willie Calhoun to come back and change the course of this offense? Is Nestor Cortez going to come back and actually do what he did in 2022, coming off a shoulder injury that limited him for months on end? You know what I mean? Is Johnny Loaizaga going to be good following another injury? We're depending on guys to come back and then carry this team. That is a strategy that has failed miserably for us in the past. I don't understand why, this team is the way it is. I mean, the decision-making is questionable at best. But Ryan, how are you feeling right now? In a perfect world, I think what you and I both agree, calling up Everson Pereira makes a lot of sense. Give him an opportunity to play left field or play in the outfield for a couple weeks ahead of the trade deadline, see what he's got. He's kicking ass. Small sample size in AAA, but he's performing really, really well. Peraza, God help us. How many times we asked him to call up Peraza? Yesterday, he got on base in all 5 of his at-bats. He has 7 walks on the season compared to Donaldson's 12, over a third of the amount of at-bats, plate appearances. How are you feeling right now? I know you're upset. I am upset, but looking at what the team has done and the failure to give opportunities to youngsters that have upside and instead rolling with high-priced guys that just can't play baseball anymore, it's pissing me off. And I'm like out of energy, man. Like, how many times do we have to say the same thing before they make a change?
Yeah. So, back in 2021, following the end of the 2021 season, because this is really when, I got things started with Fireside Yankees. So I distinctly remember the conversations around that team. I distinctly remember the comments I made about that team regarding, having to get better offensively, hoping to not see a team like that again, a team that struggled offensively, slow, injury prone, not great defensively, not fundamentally sound on the base paths. And that's the exact same team we have this year. Granted, they're a better defensive team than that team was. That's not even close. But this team, according to StatCast's runner runs, is the worst base running team in the sport. If you look at offensively speaking, this is the worst Yankee offense in nearly a century, right? You have to look back to the days of in terms of raw offense, not league adjusted. You have to look in the days of the 1960s when the mound wasn't elevated and Bob Gibson was setting ERA records. And then if you want to look at era adjusted stats, I'm pretty sure they're one of the worst offenses since the 1910s before Babe Ruth was a Yankee. This team is pathetic in ways that I can't even describe. This is a $290 million payroll, guys. And it's, here's the thing. I understand the Mets, the Padres are having far more disappointing seasons than the Yankees, and they've spent big. I'm not sitting here and saying the Yankees are in the worst position in the world. But you feel like those teams at least have a core, right? Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., Xander Bogaerts. Those are the 3 guys you're going to see in that lineup, and you hope to see in that lineup for San Diego for a very long time. I don't know what the future looks like for Juan Soto there, but they have 3 guys at least that are going to be part of that team for an extremely long period of time. For the Yankees on their lineup, it's Aaron Judge and Anthony Volpe. I would say Oswald Peraza, but Alex, are you confident the Yankees are going to, not trade him or they aren't going to screw him over again? I mean, look, the guy has a career, last year he put up a 146 WRC plus. I know it's in a small sample size, but still he did do that. And then he went out and killed it in AAA. And the Yankees, it took a Josh Donaldson injury for them to call him up. They didn't want to call him up. They did it out of necessity. I want people to remember that. This was not the Yankees' decision. This was a decision made by variables they can't control. In 32 games, he has a 406 OBP. He looks like he has great command of the strike zone, Alex. I don't know if you saw one of the at-bats with 2 strikes. I think it was his 3rd walk of the game. Dude, he fouls off a pitch that's a borderline strike. He recognizes that he's got to fight on 2 strikes, and then he lays off some tough pitches. He realizes, hey, you know what? I'm going to see what this guy's got. Until he proves me he can consistently throw strikes, I'm not going to swing. And he challenged the Angels pitching staff, and they failed the challenge, right? He got on base, via a single and 4 walks, right? Again, OBP through the roof this year. If he ever gets to the bat, his swing together at the major league level, he'll be a really nice player, great defensive player, good base runner, makes some boneheaded base running decisions the last couple of games, but I think those are rookie things. I don't think those are like skill issues. But let's talk about some guys who struggle that we haven't really been able to talk about because I don't know why we haven't talked about these guys, honestly. Bader, 90 WRC plus. It's not good enough. It's not. Anthony Rizzo hasn't hit a home run since May 20th. On May 20th, I was still a freshman in college. I'm a sophomore in college now. Harrison Bader hasn't hit a home. Harrison Bader and Anthony Rizzo have to be better. Anthony Rizzo is a 107 WRC plus as a first base, and it's not good enough. It's not good enough. The Yankees traded a very nice starting pitcher in Jordan Montgomery, who's going to get a very nice return for the St. Louis Cardinals this trade deadline for Harrison Bader. I didn't trade for slightly better, I didn't trade for 2021 Brett Gardner, but in center field. That's not what I wanted, right? No disrespect to Brett Gardner, but that was, Brett Gardner in his last season as a Yankee, right? And I'm pretty sure he has a better WRC plus than Bader does this year. 249 average, 274 OBP. That's not cutting it for me. It's not good enough. Rizzo, will we at 390 slugging percentage? Dude, you're a power hitting first baseman. What's going on here? DJ, I know he had a big double yesterday, but obviously he hadn't been playing well all year. Volpe's in a slump again. I think he'll turn it around, but that's the situation. Stanton looks like he's getting it going in cores, and then he has just really bad situational at bats. I don't know what's going on there. His WRC plus dipped down to 94 after yesterday's game. So I'm just trying to figure out, number one, Aaron Boone, Giancarlo Stanton was playing really well in right field and hitting a lot better, and he looks comfortable out there. Why is he DHing, man? What is the purpose here? Shohei Ohtani comes up. Michael King. It's a 3-1 game. Michael King, it is a 1-2 count. What the fuck do you think you're doing throwing a fastball to Shohei Ohtani? What did you think was going to happen? Down the middle, you're going to challenge the best hitter on the team with Mike Trout out. You can take bad players and improve them. You can't fix stupid. Alex, we cannot fix stupid. You cannot trade for smart. You can trade for good and bad players. You cannot fix stupid. If Michael King thinks he's going to get 94 down the middle by Shohei Ohtani, who might set the AL home run record, I hope that there was and Aaron Boone's comments, no, we didn't even think about walking him. So you walked him to make the bases loaded in a 0-0 game, but you couldn't walk him with a 3-1 lead in the bottom of the 8th, best hitter on the world because of Mickey Moniak? I get it. He's got a good season this year. Mickey Moniak is not scaring me the way Shohei Ohtani does. I don't get it. Alex, try to explain this to me. I don't get it. You trade for Harrison Bader, Monty's been better than him. You give Rizzo money, he immediately regresses. You trade for Stan, it's been a dud. You sign DJ long-term, that contract's a disaster. You give $50 million to Josh Johnson via that trade, it's been a disaster. Your left fielder's IKF. He can't play left field. You're relying on Volpe and Peraza to save your season. These two are 22 and 23 respectively. What is the product supposed to look like? This product is not supposed to look good on paper, so it doesn't look good on paper. That's where I'm at with this, Alex. That's my thoughts.
Well, that was a very nice rant, if I must add. That was very well articulated. And, to give you guys some more context in how poor some of these guys are performing, you look at Rizzo. In the month of July, he's hitting 143 with a 236 OBP, 163 slugging. You mentioned slugging first baseman. He has a lower slugging rate than his on-base percentage. His slugging rate is almost lower than his batting average, and he's OPSing 400. This is a player who has 7 hits in his last 49 at-bats, 2 runs. He hasn't hit a home run. God help me. Holy shit. The guy hasn't hit a home run in over 2 months. As you said earlier, you know what? That's just another, that Tatis hit to the knee. I don't know if that changed his season. Ever since then, he's been a shell of himself, but whatever Rizzo has going on has got to change. Maybe they even consider platooning DJ LeMahieu and Rizzo at first base right now, because Rizzo may just need time off. He just maybe needs a lighter workload. And, DJ's actually been pretty solid after the All-Star break, so I'll give him some credit. DJ LeMahieu has been good for us. Always been a good defender. Really struggled offensively, but, he's been solid, has a couple of multi-hit games. So far I've been happy with his contributions. But Harrison Bader, guys, what the hell happened to that? He was so good earlier on this season. He had some really good stretches. The injuries derailed him, obviously. But in the month of July, he's hitting 196 with a 220 OBP, 304 slugging percentage, 524 OPS. He has one homer in his last 80 at-bats. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. This is a player who, he's walked. Dude, oh my God, Ryan. Harrison Bader has walked twice in his last 80 at-bats. 80 at-bats. He has walked 2 times. He's struck out 14 times in that sample size. He struck out 11 times in his last 46 at-bat with 1 walk, 1 homer, and 9 hits. You talk about ice cold. These guys are frozen in time. These guys are ice age, little freaking squirrel frozen. You got to wait 2 damn movies for the little squirrel to get unfrozen again. That's how frozen these guys are at the batter's box. It's disappointing to watch. And like you said, you're relying on youth, but you might as well, right? Like call up Peraza, call up Everson Pereira, call up Austin Damwells if you want to, if you're going to be looking for a catcher. See what he can do. Lefty, Yankee Stadium, who knows? Pereira makes the most sense right now, though. Like, are we really going to sit here and act like he can't be any better than IKF? For God's sake. Like, why aren't we giving these guys opportunities? Franchy Cordero, please, like, spare me. Estevan Florial should have that 40-man spot over him. Even though I would rather see Pereira than Estevan at this point, you might as well just let Florial go. He has no trade value. He's kicking ass in AAA, but it's not like we're ever going to do anything with him. I don't really get what the Yankees are doing right now. Like, I don't get the strategy. I don't get the plan. When they're sitting down and looking at everything and looking at all the prospects, looking at all the veteran players, and they're saying to themselves, yeah, Donaldson's better than Peraza. Meanwhile, he's walked 12 times in 120 plate appearances. Meanwhile, Peraza has 7 walks in his last 44 plate appearances. You know what I mean? Like, you're looking at a player in Peraza that walked a lot yesterday. He got a single. He scored a run. Yes, the base running mishaps were a little bit concerning, but at the end of the day, I think it was just more so not understanding what the pitcher was doing and just like, just those rookie mistakes. He'll learn from those. But he's made more of an impact with those 2 mistakes than anyone has made an impact on this team in weeks. So especially Donaldson. And now you're asking yourself, where do we go from here? How do you save the season? And I don't think you really can. I don't think this season can be saved unless you go out and you get 2, maybe even 3 above average bats to build around Aaron Judge when he comes back. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to go out and get Dylan Carlson or Cody Bellinger or whoever it might be and expect this team to be good. Like, this is not going to happen. One guy is not solving this. You need at a minimum of 2 above average bats. And where are you going to put those guys? Like, if Volpe has the long leash at shortstop, you're not moving him. Peraza, like, you maybe go out and get a third baseman, but then you're going to end up either trading Peraza or demoting him again. And he's doing well right now. Like, give him the next couple of weeks to see if he can continue doing it. Gleyber Torres is probably our best offensive player right now. And then in the outfield, Bader's awful, but you're not going to replace Harrison Bader. That Cashman couldn't stomach that. Left field needs to be upgraded. Right field, you're just waiting for Judge to come back. And Rizzo, you can't do anything there. So what really can you do on this roster? A lot of these positions are completely locked up, Ryan. I know you probably agree that we need 2 above average bats. Like, that's probably what we need to even consider getting back in the hunt right now. But what do you do if this team has too many spots that are already locked up with guys that they can't justify moving unless they're going to trade Gleyber Torres? You know what I mean? Like, how do you see this team going about? Like, how do you save the season right now without getting a Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani, which is extremely unlikely?
Yeah, so I think you have to look at building, some sort of semblance of a team that can win now and a team that can win down the road. I wonder if the Yankees go the buy or sell approach. And I'm not saying the Yankees should punt the season. Let's be real here. The Yankees are, I think, 2.5 games out of a playoff spot or 2 games out of a playoff spot. We're not like it's July 18th. Like, I think we're both aware that the postseason is not out of question. They are very much in the hunt for the postseason, but it's like, all right, you're in the hunt for the postseason, but you're not in a playoff spot on July 18th for a team that's expected to win their division and compete for a World Series. Like, that's not good enough. That's clearly not good enough. And a lot of the guys who are on this roster can't get it done. If I'm looking at a pretty good player to pick up. I think Cody Bellinger would be a really nice add because you can make him the center fielder for a very long time. He's only 28. He's a pretty deep, like solid extension candidate. Barring I think you can agree with me here. If Benintendi didn't have that hamate bone injury, I think the Yankees bring him back. I think it was the hamate bone injury, and it was a wise decision. He has not had his power, and I think he mentioned like a month ago that he still kind of felt it in his wrist. So I think Bellinger would be a nice long-term get in center field. If you require a starting pitcher, you'd be in a weird spot where you have 7 starters. I actually mapped this out because I'm still working on this deadline article, and I have to alter it every day the Yankees play because I'm you know what, maybe not get rentals because these guys suck. But you'd have Cole, Rodon, Cortez, Schmidt, Severino, Herman. Then if you add a starter, you have 7 starters. You're not optioning Schmidt. I think Schmidt's too good for that. You still have a bullpen you have to carry. So do you maybe move Domingo Herman to a team that needs starting pitching and kind of just have Schmidt take over there and then have Severino get moved to the bullpen? I know he pitched a good game yesterday, but I'm still not high on Severino. He didn't get a lot of strikeouts. It looked like a grind for him to get through that game. It did not look like free and easy. Severino just blows 100 by everyone. I think they should buy still. I think they should get some good pieces. Dylan Carlson's name's been floated out there. I think he'd be a nice long-term piece. I don't think he can be the guy, but I think he can help. I think Peraza, Torres, and Volpe can be the core of your infield. I think that could be your infield for a very long time. These 3 guys are all talented. And I think these 3 guys all bring something to the table that the Yankees need. Torres, for all of his faults, is a 115 WRC plus hitter in his last 282 games played. That's solid. You're not going to find a lot of second basemen that can out hit him. Maybe if you trade for Armor Candelario, you move Torres or you move Peraza in a much bigger deal. But Alex, I think you and I can kind of agree here. Getting 3-year rentals doesn't really feel like the thing this team needs to do. It feels like they would just let most of those guys go and you'd lose prospects and he'd kind of be in a worse spot. But at the end of the day, I think that the fix for this team is, number one, as you mentioned, getting a little bit younger. This team's the 4th oldest position player group in all of baseball at 29.1 years old, and they make mistakes like they're a rookie team. That's not good enough for me. Harrison Bader in Colorado, I hate to rag on Bader because he's a great dude, but I'm sorry. It wasn't this really sucked. He's running the third, gets thrown out in extra innings. That can't happen, man. You're a veteran. That cannot happen to you. You cannot go to third on a ground ball shortstop. You freeze, you wait. These are base running decisions that would get you benched in high school, right? So we got to be smarter there. I wonder if they do move Bader. Bader hasn't really hit. He's a great glove, but do the Yankees extend him? I don't think so. Could the Yankees trade him and get some value and then replace him with Bellinger at the deadline? Could they do kind of a buy and sell thing? I don't know. Personally, I'd keep Bader just because I think he's a great glove, and if you ever fit, he has a knack for the big moment, and I think that matters. But ultimately, you got to hope Judge comes back. You got to see who can make some savvy additions and then hope that the guys that are currently on the roster perform. I don't care who you get. If Rizzo and Stan don't perform, it could be Shohei Ohtani. If Rizzo's hitting 5th and he has a 390 slugging percentage, they're not going to win the World Series. So, that's really where I'm at. Guys on the roster have to get better. They're going to have to make the right additions. And maybe they buy and sell at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think that anyone that they do bring in, they have to have some long-term prospects for. You know what I mean? I think they need to think about 2024 and not just this season, because if they go out and just get rentals, you're hoping that they turn this thing around, but then you screw yourself for next year again. You know what I mean? Next year, you're sitting here once again wondering, what happened in left fields? Well, we lost this guy and we sent We need someone with some control, like Dylan Carlson. Look, guys, he's not going to move the needle a lot this year, but at the very least, you have an above average bat in the outfield for a couple of more years. He's a free agent in 2027. I like that idea. I like having a guy that at least is going to be above average for you for a couple of seasons. I think that's a good thing. You got to get Cody Bellinger. Maybe you extend him, but again, he's had 1 good month this year, 2 good months, and half of the rest of his season has been kind of inconsistent. So, you're hoping that he can turn it fully around and he can be a good player, if not a great player again. And, he does profile well for the Yankees. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully he ends up, what Joey Gallo was supposed to be. But this will only come down to, and the Yankees' success and playoff hopes will come down to not who they add, but the players on the roster elevating their game and some synergy within the pitching rotation, the bullpen, and the hitters. Because, as I said yesterday, when the hitting is good, the pitching is bad. When the pitching is good, the hitting is bad. So, when you have two sides, playing against each other, it makes it really easy to be beaten, especially if you have a guy like Shohei Ohtani up to bat in the 8th inning with a chance to tie it, and he is a clutch man, and you throw him a fastball down the gutter, and you get destroyed. And then we're wondering why I check the box score again, and it's 3-3, and I'm like, it was that man Ohtani. It was, and you look, the guy, what was the guy's name that was batting right after him that Boone was so scared of?
Mickey Moniak.
Moniak.
Aaron Boone looked at the guy with 35 home runs on July 18th, like the only guy who might challenge Aaron Judge for the home run record, and said,
Crazy
Mickey Moniak. I hope. What makes it worse, they walked Shohei Ohtani to make the bases fucking loaded in a 0-0 game, Alex. It was a 0-0 game. They put the go-ahead run at third base, but you can't put the go-ahead run at first base? Are you kidding me, Aaron Boone? Aaron Boone, New York Yankees, are you freaking kidding me? Are we watching the same game? I just don't get it. It's like they're gaslighting us, man. I watched the game. I watched you do it 3 innings ago. You couldn't do it then?
I don't know, man. I really, it's mind-boggling, some of the decisions, and yet we're here questioning it over and over and over again. And I'll leave you guys with this. If you're Hal Steinbrenner and you're looking at your Yankees for the first time in 33 years in dead last place at this time in the season, dead last place, the Boston Red Sox are ahead of you, and we were up a couple games on them just a couple of weeks ago. And you're sitting there knowing that you're spending $290 million on a team that is in last place, underperforming. And if this continues until the end of the season and you miss the playoffs, what are you doing? Are you firing guys? Are you making managerial changes? What are you going to do if you're Hal Steinbrenner? Because right now, I think most would say he's a part of the problem because he's letting this happen. He's letting these things go down and not making any changes, committing to the same mediocrity we've seen. While I don't think the Yankees are going to be sellers, they need to be thinking about the future, and any moves they make have to have 2024, thoughts in mind. And they need to be thinking about what the future is going to look like for this team, because right now they cannot be thinking about just winning a World Series this year. They need to be thinking about how can we save ourselves over the next few years, because right now the team is getting older, they're aging, the contracts are getting worse, and it's only going to keep getting worse unless they find ways to retool and put good players in a place with youth. You can't just keep going and getting 32, 33-year-old guys to solve your problems. You need some 24, 25-year-old guys with time to mold, time to expand, and hopefully these guys will end up producing. So we'll see what happens at the deadline if they make any changes. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives below. I know there's a lot to say, and I know it's going to be a lot of negatives, but, listen to the episode, and you'll probably get an idea of where we're at as well. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.